Today, we are going to unpack why your prospect, your target people keep on scrolling past your ads and how to fix it immediately. You might think it's happening because they are distracted by what's happening in the politics, what's happening in the economy, or even, the recent celebrity gossip, but that couldn't be further from the truth. If you see that your CPMs are rising, your cost per acquisition are through the roof, your ad performance is just lackluster, it's simply because your prototype have developed an ad blindness. And what that means is that you are literally invisible to them. They see your ads and they just scroll right past it. And so here you are spending thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars in marketing, and you're like, I know we could do so much bigger. I know we could attract better quality lead. I know we could convert those leads at the highest level if we were just able to have our message in front of the right people. What's happening in the market? Is our ad even worth it in 2026? Today, I'm really going to share with you 3 things that you can implement right away to fix it. You are doing what has worked the past. Okay, we've done this for the past X years. We've seen it work. Why have things changed? Why have things changed? And the truth is, the market has heavily shifted and attention span is at all-time low. And so in today's economic climate, if you actually want to strive, you need to radically change your approach, because 99% of advertisers out there have the ad being in your on a daily basis. So if you actually want to have an edge, you want to actually differentiate yourself from what's out there in the marketplace. And one of the biggest mistake which I see a lot of advertisers make is just seeing what their competitor is doing and copy and paste it in their business, thinking, okay, because I see my competitor do that, I'm also going to do the same thing. And more often than not, it doesn't work because you are not doing it properly. So today I'm really going to share with you not just how to create compelling ads, but how to create ads that can be ignored, right? Because that's ultimately what we want. And something which I also want you to understand is that your prospect brain has evolved, and it has evolved to filter out any marketing messages, because the lizard brain, right, the primary brain of of your prospect, of yours mind, we see marketing messages as sales pitch as threat. Okay, they're trying to sell me something I don't want to. I don't have the money. I don't have the need. I'm just gonna tune it out. It's like when you go to a mall or a show and someone comes and say, do you need help? Typically, the first, like the intuitive answer for most people is just to say, no, I'm good, thank you, because they don't want to be sold something. And it's the same reflex that your prospect have whenever they see an ad. They're like, okay, I'm going to get pitched something, let me just tune it out. And they just scroll past it. And that's typically one of the reasons why people think, oh, if I actually want to scale my business, I have to rely on organic marketing only. I can't rely on ad, because ads are not predictable. If people see my ad, they're just going to see me as a salesy person, and they're going to see me as someone that's always wanting to sell them something and just going to tune me out. But if I build my business using organic, I'm going to have a value in the marketplace and they're going to trust me more. And it's actually limiting belief, because if you do things properly with your ads, you can give so much value and build so much trust and goodwill that people actually come look for you and work with you. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that for our clients. I'm Joly Tematio. I've been behind the scenes for the past half a decade, helping personality brands scale to multiple six-figure, $500,000 months consistently, using the power of social media ads, primarily Meta ad and YouTube ads, and also developing AI system. Now, let's get straight into it. You want to realize that whenever people are scrolling on, whether that's Instagram or Facebook, or even watching content on YouTube, you have 1 second to get their attention. A couple of years ago, back in 2020, you had 3 seconds attention, but now you have less than a second, which means that user decide in less than a second whether they're going to pay attention to your ad. And so knowing that, you need to realize that you really have to come up with an ad that's going to stop them in their track, that's going to grab them by the jugular and force them to pay attention to you. And one of the biggest things that you want to avoid doing is having those polished ads where you go and you just take an image on Shutterstock and it's polished, it's manufactured, it looks like corporate spam. Because whenever we see that, automatically our mind's like, oh, that's a pitch. That's too perfect. What you want to do instead is to camouflage your ad. You want your ad to look as native as humanly possible, which means that the goal of your ad is should look like a post from their friends, or it should look like what they typically see on their feed. It should kind of be like, oh, what am I watching? Is it the content of someone that I know? And by the time they get better, they're like, oh, that's actually an ad. But I'm already into the pitch. I'm already into the value. I'm already into the content. So what we've seen work really well is imperfection. And I mean, that's both for video ads and image ads, right? So instead of having a video ad where you are in your office with, the whole staff, a videographer and 5 camera angle, we've seen sometimes just selfie video ad crush it. They actually do. Like even walking on the street with some background noise, it looks so native. Even in terms of pictures, what we've started doing is asking our clients to give us as much as many lifestyle pictures as possible. Because even the way in which we go about creating our image ad has fundamentally changed from the way it was even a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, we were going more for the sensational layout, wanting the ad to look like a news update because that's what worked. But now, more discreet ad perform the best. And when I say discreet, I don't mean that your ad has to be boring, because ultimately it's the hook that's gonna get their attention. It's the content that's gonna get their attention. I'm gonna come our third point is all about the content of the ad. But in terms of the design itself, it has to look native. And something which I want you to think about is your own purchasing behavior when you're scrolling on social media, right? Have you ever scrolled on your feed and you just see something and you just know it's an ad? You haven't even read it, you haven't even listened to it, but you just know, okay, that's an ad. I'm about to get pitched something. Okay. And on the other hand, sometimes you just scroll maybe through your stories and you hop on, you land on a video. You're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Let me hear more. And before you know it, you're 60 seconds into it. You're like, okay, let me check this out. That's really the power of having a native ad. Because it doesn't matter what's the content of your ad. If it looks like an ad, it's not gonna get consumed. We want you to focus on here is to really think about, okay, let me look at my top 5 or 10 creative assets. If I'm to remove my logo, does it look like a user post or does it look like a flyer? Okay, because if it looks like a flyer, just delete it. The same with your video ads. If you tune out the sound, how does it look like? Does it look like an ad of Pepsi or Coca-Cola, or does it look like just a video someone would post on social media? And if you've noticed, that's the reason why more and more we are even turning conversations like native conversation of many podcast interviews into an ad. We are stripping a hot segment of a YouTube video and turning that into an ad. We are sending a script. We always send ad script to our client when they come on board, because we want this process to be as smooth as possible for them with creative direction in the ad script. They record the ads, selfie videos in the balcony, in the garden, or what have you, and those always crush it. Right? And so think about how it being as native as possible. And that's even why when you look at the bigger brands, that's why the bigger brands now are no longer going and having those crazy commercial made. What they do now is they partner with influencers, they partner with stars, they partner with celebrities. Because they just that's coming back to having that organic feel. But it's not in your face. It's kind of blends in and it really acts on your subconscious. Think about it in the same spectrum, under the same light when you create your ad. If it looks like an ad, you've already lost. The second thing that you want to keep in mind if you want to get your prospect to stop scrolling past your ad is asking yourself what's in it for them. Always want to give before you ask. building goodwill is paramount. And that's why whenever a client comes on board, and even when as I share in the podcast, when we think about our client art strategy, we always think about it as how can we leave the prospect better after they've gone through this funnel than when we find them. Regardless of whether they buy or not, we want them to have such an amazing experience so that even if they don't buy, they still think, oh, since I've had a really good experience interacting with this client, but I'm not ready now. But when I am ready, I'm going to think about them. That's what you want to have in mind. And that's how you want to think through this process. And the only reason why someone's going to be like, you know what, I haven't purchased from them now, but I'm going to come back when the timing is right, is coming back to the experience that you've given them. Giving before you ask looks like what it doesn't look like. Let's say what it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like just having ads asking people to buy. It will be like, oh, you have this discount, you have that discount. Da, 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 da. If you are at the end of a launch, then it makes sense. But if that's just your entire ad strategy that you deploy over and over again, it's literally going to ruin your brand. And we know as of 2016, your personal brand it's an asset. And so if your brand is all about pitching, if your ad are all about pitching, you think, okay, I'm gonna have organic on one side and my ad are all going to be about pitch, they're not going to convert as well. And so what you want to do instead is think, how can I create an ad that provides a win by itself? How can I create an ad that can be by itself? And I say ads here, but I would even say the entire customer experience. So from the 2-minute ad that they consume to them coming on your webinar, or if it's a live event, having a live event that really gives them value. Whether that's in your email sequence, that's really breaking their belief, giving them something that's going to change the way they see the world. That's key. So when I say give value, it can be a frame, it can be breaking a limiting belief, it can be a laugh, it can be a feeling of status, it can be an aha moment, it can be an epiphany, even if they never buy, right? And that's why when we look at the customer journey and at our client ad funnel, we always start with those authority positioning campaign. Why? Because that's really where we want to give without asking anything. We want to say, hey, I know you are struggling with this thing. Here's what's happening. I know you have this symptom and you don't know really, you have no clue what it means or how it affects you. Here's what it means. Here's how it affects you. Here's how you can fix it. And then after the authority positioning campaign, we then have those conversion campaigns. Okay, now that you know what the bottleneck is, here's how we can help you. Here's our solution. Here's why it's different. Here's why we need it. Then we have the retargeting, which is, hey, other people have used it, they loved it. Here's what they had to say, and it looked just like you. Hey, here's why it's risk-free. Here's how we guarantee your success. Here's how we make sure that you are well taken care of once you enroll. That's our target. Those are our targeting ads. The entire process is designed to give client value. So always think about, how can I connect with the pain? How can I make them feel seen and heard before I pitch? So, and when I say make them feel seen and heard, it's something which a lot of founders struggle to understand, where you want your brand to embody the solution that you sell to your prospect. And ask yourself, how am I embodying through my content, through my ads, the solution that my prospect crave? How are we selling them not just the offer, but selling them something that's even higher? For instance, let's just take the two examples. If you're selling a physical product, when you are selling, let's say, this mic, all right? And so you're not just selling a mic, you're selling an opportunity for someone to have the message being turned into a movement. You are selling an opportunity for someone to turn their passion into their full-time job, the side hustle into their full-time hustle, into their empire. That's what you're selling. You're selling them a vision to really have the voice use their voice to have a bigger impact. You're not just selling a mic. So the ad has to make the viewer feel something. The same thing if you're selling a coaching program or a consulting offer, right? You're not just saying, okay, here's my coaching offer, here's what you're gonna get. It's also giving them a paradigm shift. How can you help them change the way they think? How can you kind of remove a veil and have them see for the first time? Because once you've changed the way someone sees the world, once you've changed the worldview, they can go back. It's like you have the blue pill, you have the red pill in the matrix, right? Which one are you going to choose? And depending on what you choose, your worldview changes forever. So think about how can we give them value throughout the process, and when I look back at our top performing campaign for every single one of our clients, the best one consistently has been the one where the person has an aha moment, where something breaks. When they're like, oh my gosh, I feel called out, I feel seen. She gets me. She understands what I'm going through. I've never shared this with anyone, but she gets me. And I'm gonna trust her because she gets me. And that only comes when you stop thinking about yourself long enough and you focus on the client instead and the person instead. And that's what an ad agency should help you do. That's what when you come aboard, we help you extract those things. Or based on what you give us, we go back and we really peel back the layer and understand, okay, how can you make this, how can you create a masterpiece out of this? So I think something we should have learned from, I've heard Gary Vee say once, is that when you're running ads, he was talking about it in the concept of organic marketing, but it also applies with ad. When you are running ads, you want to think about it like you are putting money in a bank account. Most people think, okay, I'm running ads. When I'm stop running ads, my income just stops. But that's not true. If you run ads the right way, you can stop running ads, but you still make money. Why? Because when you're running ads, you're not just asking. If you stop running ads and your income stops immediately, it's because you were only running those type of ads that were asking for the sale all the time. And of course, as soon as you stop asking for the sale, you stop making money. But you really didn't build an ecosystem that was designed to amplify your brand and really position your brand as the go-to expert in your niche. If you run ads properly, it's going to unlock opportunities for you to monetize your brand beyond what you just have to sell. You are going to be able to build your list for people that actually trust you. They are bought into your why. They're not just there from because they want some shady freebie. They're here because they've really gotten to know you through your ad. So they are bought into who you are and what you do. Secondly, if you have an email list that you've built using ads the right way, you can have opportunities to actually use that email list to, whether that's a workshop, whether that's a master class or a live event, you can monetize that way. But you can also have partnerships. You can have brand deals, and you have clients that are getting 5-figure deals because brands wants to target the list and promote offer through the emails. You don't even have to post on social media. But because they've built a list through targeted ad, they are able to monetize in so many ways over the long run. And we've had clients that initially have grown their audience by running ads. Why? Because the ad was giving so much value that the product was like, I need to know more about her. And who is this girl? Who is this guy? This was amazing. Just so, and that only happens when you go beyond asking and think, how can I give them value? How can I create a transformation just in this ad itself? The third layer that you want to have in mind is the structure of your ad. That's so key. So we talk about the visual aspects, how it should look like, but now it's really about what's inside the content of your ad. And like we said initially, you have less than a second for someone to give you the attention. So if you miss that, they're gone. And one of the biggest mistakes that you want to stop doing, that I see a lot of founders do, is introducing themselves. The truth is, no one really cares. No one. Here's the thing, your current audience, they're going to recognize you. So you don't need to introduce yourself. If they see your ad, they're gonna see, oh, that's this is so and so. So you are covered there. The cold audience that has no idea who you are, they don't really care about you. They care about themselves. And as a marketer, as a founder, you always want to think, how can I create a messaging that makes my target audience feels like I understand them better than they even understand themselves. That's so key. And so those first 3 seconds are extremely important. You're not gonna waste them. So what you want to do here is have 3 types of hooks. You want to have a visual hooks where maybe it's a pattern in shop, you grab a mug, you move your mind, you sit on the chair, you do something enter in the frame. That's the visual hook. You also want to have a written hook on your ads because some people are watching with the sound off. It's got get attention there. And then you have the audio hook, which what you're gonna see in those first 3 seconds. You need to have those 3 hooks. That's just a non-negotiable. Now, when it comes to what you're gonna say, we like to use the framework of you want to talk about either the pain, the problem, the frustration that's causing, that problem is causing in their life, the solution that you have, and the proof that the solution works. So that's how you want to think about your ads. Pain, problem, frustration. What's the desire? What's the goal there? What's the solution that we provide? Or the next steps? And what's the proof? Okay. Because they're not, if you don't have those things in your ads, they're not gonna listen to you. And that's when I say your ad, this can either be your video ads or even your ad copy. So if you're having an image ad, then it's gonna be your ad copy. If you have a video ad, then it's gonna be your video ad and your ad copy, right? And please don't do the, hey, I am so and so from this and this, and today I want to know. You have to, even on organic content, it doesn't even work anymore. So let's just cut it loose. Let's stop doing that. When you are thinking about your image ad, on your image ad, I want you to use your hook. You want to test different image ad with different hooks. And when you see an image ad performing really well, think about how can I use this hook for my video ads. If you haven't already done that. If you have a hook on an image ad that's really working well, turn that into a hook for your ad copy and your video ads. Secondly, when it comes to testing, you want to test different hooks. What we like to do with our client, we like to send them different hooks for the same body copy. So they might have 5 hooks for the same ad copy, and there's a hook called the same video but with 5 different hooks. Then so we test 5 different videos, and the only difference between those 5 videos is the hook, because that's the key. Once you've gotten them past those 3 seconds, the attention there is higher. And it's the same for your VSL. It's the same because if the people land on your page and they don't watch the VSL, you are in a similar pattern, right? So that's what you want to think about when it comes to really having the best. And understanding that there's a psychology when it comes to having someone's attention online, and that the difference between a $20 CPA and a $200 CPA has nothing to do with the funnel for the most part. Sometimes it has everything to do with the ads. You know, if you are a founder that's looking for a predictable and profitable way to scale your ad, people to reach out. That's what we do all day and every day for our clients. At Torrent Consulting, we help them scale their company in a way that's predictable and profitable using YouTube ads, Facebook ads, and AI system. We have completely done for you solution where we come in and we build the entire thing. So you just, you hand it off to us. We also have consulting partnership where we come in and we train your team on how to implement these different policies, or we train you and we hold you accountable to really deliver at a higher level. But if you do that for our company's teams and to really help them perform at a higher level. So if you want to learn more, people should schedule a fraud audit so you can see if you're a fit and how we can help you get to the next level. Thank you so much for being here. I invite you to watch the next episode, which is all about how do you actually crush Facebook ads, no matter what your budget is. I will see you there.